as promised, here I am, keeping my word and giving you this video that I really wanted to put out, and I really wanted to have more time to prepare for it, but life got in the way. So here we are now. We are here to celebrate Gumbo Millennium turning 35. This album right here. Now, last month I put out a video talking about Harder Than You. This album here is what introduced me to 24/7 Spyz. Now you'll see right behind me back here, there's a little pinup on the wall, 24/7 Spyz, Gumbo Millennium pinup. I pulled that from a Metal Edge magazine. Now it might have been Metal Edge or one of those thrash metal magazines because Anthrax is on the flip side of that page. I saw this picture of them back there and I'd heard a little bit about 24/7 Spyz. I was already into bands like Bad Brains, Living Colour, Fishbone, King's X, Urban Dance Squad. I was into all kinds of groups that were mixing together all these different styles, but yet I had not gotten into 24/7 Spyz. They opened up for Jane's Addiction at Center Stage here in Atlanta, but I believe that was in 1991. But that was kind of when the band, unfortunately, that was when they fell apart. But they did make it here to Atlanta. Unfortunately, I did not catch that show. I missed that show. So from here, I'm just going to talk about how I got into this band, why I still listen to them regularly, still to this day, after all these years. I believe I was around, pretty sure I was around 17 years old when I picked this album up. I picked it up on cassette first. So the cassette was rewound on the second side. So I didn't know any better. I just put the tape in because I would always work out those details later. I would just put music in and start listening to it. Like CDs and all that other stuff, I typically would not know what the titles of the songs were. I would just say, oh, well, the third song on the second side is awesome. I would do things like that because I would always focus on the music first and then figure out what the song titles were, and I would figure out the lyrics of those songs later on. I'm kind of embarrassed to tell you this, but the lyrics are usually the last thing that I figure out because I was just too busy listening to everything else that was going on. So, but the melody I get right away. I never forget a melody. I never forget the harmonies, all that stuff. It goes right into my memory and it sticks like glue. But for whatever reason, the lyrics are always the last thing I pay attention to. But they are important. Lyrics are like, for me, albums are like books for musicians. You know, it's the musician's book. You get this thing, it's got all the, these cool liner notes in it. And there's a lot of really cool stuff to read in here. All the lyrics are here. You cannot find these lyrics online. The only way to find the lyrics that I've been able to, this is the only way you can get the lyrics to these songs. So, and it's the same thing with Harder Than You. So I'm going to go through this, but what's super interesting about this, these liner notes is who they thank in here. Let me back up really quick. So I saw this little pin up here. I heard about them. I'm going to pick up Gumbo Millennium and see what 24/7 Spyz is all about. And I get this tape and I put it in. And the first song I hear is Valdez, 27 million. And, I'm saying it wrong. Valdez, 27 million. But anyway, and this song is about the whole Valdez oil spill. It's a political song, and I don't really know much about that. But for me, musically, I hear it at first. That beat kicks in. Anthony Johnson in his ridiculous pocket. He comes in with this thing, and I mean, this guy has a way of stepping on the kick drum, kicking that. He's got a real heavy foot, and he just drives that thing, and you're just nodding your head from the second beat. You're just like, oh, I'm in there, right? And you know what? I want to let you hear it. I mean, it's just got this, and you can't help but just groove to that. And the first thing I thought, really, seriously, right away when I heard this song, I was like, Candy. Right away, I was like, that sounds like Cameo. That sounds like Candy. But it doesn't sound derivative of Cameo. And this is what happens throughout this album. You hear the influences, you know where they're getting things from, but they're not derivative. They're not copycats. They find this way, unlike really a lot of bands, of paying homage to their influences, paying respect without completely ripping them off. And it's genius, really. So you hear that, go and listen to this song. Find it, it's on YouTube or wherever, just anywhere. Spotify, whatever you want to do, I don't know. But find that song and listen to it. And then listen to Cameo. Listen to Candy from Cameo. And you will know what I'm talking about. Because the very next track, which is Don't Break My Heart, you can tell that it's Chic. I mean, it's influenced by Bernard Edwards. Like the bass line, it's totally My Feet Keep Dancing or whatever. I think it's on Risque. You should listen to that album. It's great if you are into like groove bass, great bass lines and stuff. I start hearing all this stuff, and at the time, like I heard a lot of this music when, as a little kid, because my parents raised me on a big variety of music. Like nothing was off limits in my house. My parents played all kinds of music. Yes, even country. Yes, they did. But we don't, these days, I'm sorry if this offends anyone. Actually, I'm not sorry. But I don't care for any of the stuff that's going on now, like any of the modern pop country stuff. But the really old stuff, some of it's cool, but I'm not an expert on it. But either way, I heard a lot of different music in my house growing up. And I heard a lot of that influence in 24/7 Spyz' music, even though they were heavy. So it was kind of like as if I moved into the future, and not to compare myself to these guys, but me being so into metal and being so into like hardcore punk and metal and all this aggressive music. And on the flip side, being really into 80s music. I've always loved 80s music. It was mind blowing to me to even hear that song. From that song alone, I was already hooked. I was like, sign me up for 24/7 Spyz. I am a fan for life. And going through this album, all these songs, you're just thinking to yourself, where did they come up with this stuff? So when you get to the second side, it starts off with John Connolly's Theory. And I did not know this until, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't know this until I got my hands on these notes. It is very recent. Like, I did not know this. Nuclear Assault, I spoke about them in the last video. I told you I got into them. Really, in a lot of ways, Nuclear Assault was the first thrash metal band that I listened to. You could argue that it was DRI because I had Dealing With It, and then I got Crossover, which is a true thrash metal record. But all that happened at the same time, and I picked up Game Over from Nuclear Assault, as I told you guys in the last video. And I went on to get the rest of their stuff. I became a huge fan, and I'm glad I got to see them live. Unfortunately, I did not get to see 24/7 Spyz live yet. There's still time. But what's funny is John Connolly's Theory is dedicated to John Connolly from Nuclear Assault. So this is a very old promo thing that I got for Survive when that album was released. And I've had this since I was, I don't know, 14 maybe? Yeah, 14, 15 years old I've had this. Anyway, I never knew that. And the reason I would never have known that if I wouldn't have gotten my hands on these promo notes. So I have these promo notes that I got from somewhere, and they're talking about, it's like a promo packet, either for the label or from the label. And it is dated June 4th, 1990. Now, from what I understand, is exactly 1 week before the album was released on June 11th, 1990. So 35 years ago. And they basically get into this thing, and that's why I'm wearing my glasses right now, because these pages, someone took a photo of these pages from here, and I'm just reading from them. So it starts off, it says, peace. Trapped in a world bent on pigeonholing them as black rock, punk funk, or new metal, 24/7 Spyz strike a blow for the new decade of peace and love with Gumbo Millennium. This is some really cool stuff. And I mean, there's a lot to read here, so I'm not going to put you guys all through that. But they kind of like explain what they think they are, and they use some really crazy, long, compound words to describe their music that kind of reminds you of the way Parliament would do stuff in their titles when they would just put these long words, they just put all these like 5 or 6 words all into one word. They do that kind of stuff in here. Now, but here's what's interesting. When you read these liner notes and you find out what a constant 24/7 Spyz is, like I said, my mind was blown the moment I found out that John Connolly's theory was dedicated to John Connolly from Nuclear Assault, and that John Connolly actually hung out with 24/7 Spyz a lot. They claimed he roadied with them. So, I mean, that's what it says there. But then you go in here and you look in their liner notes and you see all these bands that they think that they toured with. Man, this is some really small, this is some fine print here. They have like their own individual special thanks, but then they have like a band special thanks. So they thank as a band, Bo Diddley, George Clinton and his P-Funk All-Stars, The Godfather, The Ramones, Bad Brains, Faith No More, The Babies, Goo Goo Dolls, Love Tractor, Nirvana. I think that's Screamin' Blue Messiahs. Okay, sorry about that. And then Prong, another band I loved, and I had the opportunity to see them back in the day. I actually saw Prong one time with Pantera, oddly enough, a long time ago, Cowboys from Hell days. But I mean, they thank a lot of, I was going to pick out some other bands that you might know, but it's crazy how many bands these guys played with and they knew. And of course, they were super tight with Jane's Addiction. Jane's Addiction took them out on the road with them during Ritual De La Habitual tour, like in the beginning of it, before they hit Lollapalooza. But see, 24/7 Spyz, unfortunately, they started having problems while they were on tour with Jane's Addiction. And 2 of the guys ended up splitting, Anthony Johnson and P. Fluid, rest in peace. They ended up leaving the band, or they had some kind of rift. It's tough to be in a band. It's tough dealing with other personalities. So I'm not even going to pretend to know what those guys were going through, or if one person's difficult than another. I don't know. They seem like awesome people. I've read stories about everyone in that band, and I've read nothing but good stuff. Nobody has anything negative to say about them. What's really cool is in these notes that I have from this promo packet, and I have the whole thing here. I have the images of it. They tell you what each song means, like why they wrote it. And this is another thing that when I first started writing music by myself, I would always date everything. I would always put the date, the time, what it was about. When I collaborate with other people, I would always say, hang on, let me put down all these details. And they would laugh at me. Well, these guys, this is another reason why I felt so connected to them, is because they put the time and the date when they write stuff. Dude, you knew. This is another song that I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Really, it's one of my favorite tracks on the album. Now, my favorite track is, it has to be Valdez 27 Million. It just has to be my favorite. I mean, I love everything on this record. And for what it's worth, I'm more connected to this record than Harder Than You. I love Harder Than You. I really do. But I spent so much more time listening to this record before even going back and listening to Harder Than You. But yeah, they'll put the date and they'll put the time, like 5:11, and I don't know if that's 5:11 a.m. See, I'm assuming, and they make all these references to military stuff, like Some Defenders Memories in here. They talk about the military a lot. So I'm assuming these times, they might be AM. With me, I use military time. I didn't serve in the military. My dad did, but I didn't serve in it. I just always liked military time. I mean, it's always made more sense to me. And then I come to find out, I go to Europe and I find out everyone over there uses it. And I'm like, cool, I'm in the right place. People here get annoyed when I start talking, like when I say 1,700 hours or stuff like that, people just are like, what? So anyway, but yeah, they had a lot of friends, they knew a lot of people. These guys really worked hard, and they talk about what all these songs meant. And wow, I can't believe how long this video has already gotten. Listen, I could talk about 24/7 Spyz all day. I might need to make this like a series where I just talk about them, because I'm not going to be able to finish this. I'm not going to be able to finish everything that I need to say and edit this video and post it.